I'm sitting in the parking lot going, oh man, I don't have the keys. So I have to drive all the way home. Fossil Road Bridge is out. It's gotta go all the way through Harsham. All set? All right. We'll call the meeting to order. And we will ask Marion to take attendance, please.
Rich Erickson,
Here.
Tim Kraus, Joe Troman, I'm sorry, Tim Scarberry, I'm so sorry.
Here.
They don't look alike.
Okay.
He did stay up late last night.
Okay.
Don Bunka,
Here.
Joe's absent, Greg Carnes,
Here. All right. So, I trust everyone has had a chance to look over the minutes.
I move that we accept the minutes as written.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. So I'll get right into new business. Appeal number 1 was withdrawn, so we'll jump right into appeal number 2, please.
a request by David and Kathleen Anderson for a yard location variance, a 7-foot side yard setback variance, and a 20-foot setback variance from the water's edge to build a storage shed at 10460 Runyon Lake Road, Benton, Michigan, 48430. Parcel ID 470409202003. The property is zoned LK1, Lakefront Residential. Reference Tyrone Township Ordinance Number 36, Section 20.01, Schedule of Regulations, and Section 2102A2D, Accessory Buildings and Structures.
All right. Mr. Anderson, your turn to kind of give us a rendition of what it is you are asking for.
So you have the packet, right? And
Correct.
you reviewed the latest one that was sent out with updated information in it, right? And so overall, we believe as discussed, we believe the 7-foot setback with the easement in place exceeds the intent of the 10-foot setback. And I think that's the primary question that has been asked of the board. The primary reason why we want the structure is that recently we've had a hostile environment where we had a boat go missing from our property. Last year, we haven't been able to find it. Typically on the lake, boat goes missing, somebody has it somewhere. I spent several times going around the lake, knocking on doors, trying to find it. Nobody had found it. So just to secure, number one, our belongings on the property will be a big improvement. Cleans up the yard and secures all our property. So I think also with the setback, with the easement that was put in place last year through Judge McGivney, that gives us 11 feet and to the side yard. And I think, if you have the pictures that were sent in yesterday, I think that would better represent the current view than what we're looking at up there. If you go to the last page. Yeah. As well, if you also look at, let's see, 1, 2, 3, go back 4 pages.
Which one are you looking at?
The one with Mr. Lander's at,
Okay.
on his deck. So
All right.
that picture was roughly 2019. You'll see accessory structure down on the water that was on the property in between our two properties. So what we're asking for is very similar to that. That location, at least that far setback. So when you look at talk about sight lines and that type of stuff from his deck, and from our deck as well, I have several pictures within the packet that show where that would go and what the sight lines are. Now also when you look at the boat hoists that are, when they're in the water, boat hoists are taller than 10 feet off the water once you crank things up with canopies on them. So it's not going to obstruct any more view than what the boat hoists do today.
Okay.
And then all the properties around that are also elevated at a minimum of 22 to 25 feet plus above the water grade. So all the houses around will overlook the top of the shed. And as well, I have a letter of recommendation from Mr. Pereira on the south side of me, and Mr. Davis, who's 2 doors on the north side, that's in Mr. Lander's house now. So they both wrote letters of recommendations that I've submitted.
We also have a jet ski trailer that we'd like to be able to secure. Typically, we have to keep that in the yard on the roadside, and we'd like to be able to secure that as well.
So you would put that in the shed?
Correct.
Yeah.
Overall, clean up the entire property. And the intention would be, it's not the final design submitted, I want to get through this process first, but the intention would be that it would match basically what our garage would look like, what it does look like on the roadside. So it would match the house, same colors, same roof style. That would be the intention. So it would go along with the house, it wouldn't stick out like a sore thumb. It would go along with the rest of the landscape and the house and the whole architecture.
All right. Guess, Don, you got
Not really.
any questions or comments?
No.
Sure. What about you, Rich?
Yeah, the only question I have is, I think, first off, on the setback from the lake, based on what I can tell from topography, that it seems like it would be able to be built 50 feet off the lake. based on what I can tell.
Actually, when you look at the yard, the house to the north actually has, when they did the final grade, has actually raised and crowned their yard. So we got runoff coming in our yard. I've had a significant issue over the last 3 years of gravel and that washing down into our yard. So all the runoff has been going into our yard and into the lake as well. We've had sediment issues that I can provide that documentation on of the runoff going into the lake. So if we move it forward, we would have to re-engineer a foundation, and where we're asking for right now is fairly flat. As you saw the other day, Greg, it's the flattest area in the property, so we don't have to raise a foundation, and we can keep it flat and level and do the least amount of disruption to the yard.
And the yard does rise significantly from the lake to the house. And then, in addition, there's a grade change between the north and south aspect of the property.
So that's why we selected that area here.
Especially to the south of the easement.
Yeah, understood. It's just in overall, I think if it's higher than your issues of drainage, will be less inside your building, right? If the lower you put it,
If we moved it back, we'd have more
chance.
drainage issues coming in.
We have a lot of water coming down that,
Now the easement,
down the
Yeah.
easement, you know.
And I don't know if you noticed, but there's a big pile of gravel down in the middle of our yard from the wash off that's come down in the last couple of years.
But that was from the construction, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And so significant work has to be done to clean all that stuff up now this year. So that's why we're trying to stay away from that area.
Yeah, other than that, Greg, the only thing I have is I think our setbacks are off of the property lines
yeah,
is
as opposed to
all
using.
considerations. not-
Well, that's why with the easement, that's why we said with the easement, we believe we meet the intent of the setback. Because we're 11 feet, so we exceed the intent of that. Because nobody can use the easement to park anything, to plant trees, use that, it's gonna be open space. So the closest that anything could be from that structure would be 11 feet, which would be the intent of the 10-foot setback. So that's the way we interpreted the intent.
How about you, Tim? Any question or comments?
I think I'm fairly up to speed.
Yeah.
Is there any of your other neighbors come up with lost or missing hardware from their yards?
I've not heard of it. But like I said, I went around, all the way around the lake, knocking on doors, trying to find our boat, and it's gone.
All right, I am going to open it up for any comments from the audience?
We submitted a letter, I don't know if you guys got that, or actually a packet.
Oral and written, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Now, I mean, as far as the easement goes, that's all on our property, and that's our property. They took us to court to get access to come down our property to get to their property. So there's no, issue there. And as far as all the gravel and the drainage issues, they requested their silt fence get taken off, and I have all documentation with the county. I don't really want to get into it, but that all happened at their request. When the silt fence came down, all their gravel came down onto their yard. Our basement, our walkout basement, because this picture doesn't reflect our house at all, that's not there.
Right,
No,
Our
but the
walkout
last
basement-
picture does.
Excuse me, I'm talking, my patio's 6 feet up from our yard, where we walk out our walkout basement. So we'll look directly at this shed, or garage, deluxe garage, I guess.
yeah, your house is right in here, right?
Yeah, I mean, you guys have the packet we gave you, correct?
Right,
With the
right.
location of
Yeah,
our
this does
house.
not reflect,
That's not current situation,
No.
not at all.
correct, this is.
But the picture that I have on the last page does show that it does represent.
So, my issue is, and I was talking, it's fine, you don't interrupt.
No.
So 50 feet, we'll look even worse at a garage. Anywhere we look towards the lake, we're gonna look at the side of this garage. I mean, the ordinance doesn't spell out boat storage, you're allowed to have boat storage. So people are allowed to have lifts and everything else, there's nothing you can do about that. I mean, the current picture I showed you guys with the barn, he already puts his boat storage right on the property line, almost in front of our beach, just to do it out of spite for us. We've endured all kinds of, I'm sure you guys know some of the history of our stuff, but This looks like a direct, like we're gonna put it right in your view, right on the property line, and then claim that, oh, a couple feet, this is our easement to do whatever we want with. No, that's our property. I mean, they've since taken us to court for this easement. Now, if I wanted to put a garage right on my property line, I'm not allowed to do that. I have to give easement to them to get onto their property because of the way they built their house. Now, back in 2013, they were already given a variance to build a 3-car garage. I mean, I can go on, it's all in my letter and all in our packet. This is not allowed. People don't want garages on the lakeside. There's a reason there's ordinances for it. And it's almost like they put it just to spite us in the worst possible location. That yard is pretty much flat. It wouldn't take much to move it wherever, but they put it actually right in front of our house.
Well, it's not there yet, so relax.
Well, yeah, I'm glad of that.
I would like to address a couple of things as well, Mr. Carnes.
Okay.
I think the shed that Mr. Anderson was talking about in a dated picture, pre-2019 of a shed in our front yard, that shed no longer exists and was torn down for reasons because it did obstruct views to the water. And the landscape was redesigned down there with a patio and things that didn't obstruct views. Furthermore, to address stolen property, we actually have a lake Facebook page where people post all the time things that go missing. We've had entire pontoons go floating away. People post boats, tubes, life jackets. Hey, it's on the end of my dock. If this is yours, come and get it.
Mr. Meisel did post that.
I'm sorry, Mr. Carnes, is this my time for public comment?
It's-
Okay, thank you. So those things are posted publicly when things go missing. We have a lost and found on the Runyon Lake Incorporated website as well for people to post lost and found. So I don't think that anyone would hostilely take someone's belongings off of their lakefront property that's so far away from the road. We had many windstorms, many rainstorms, which resulted in some of this runoff after we removed the silt fence that could have caused these things to blow away, float away. These things happen. I could show you Facebook and just go through it. And there's post after post of things that go missing. So there is no ill intention toward the Andersons from any property surrounding them that would have taken their property.
I live on a lake too, I know, that stuff happens.
Things float away. It's a lake, it happens.
Yeah.
And as far as boat structures being just as tall as a deluxe garage in someone's lakefront, these boat hoists sit down in the water. They don't sit on top of the water level with the yard. They're sunk into the water because you have to float your boat onto them. So they don't sit 10 feet off of the water. They sit maybe 10 feet off the water bottom. So with that statement, I do disagree.
I believe he was referring to the canopy.
Yeah,
Not all of them have canopies.
No, they don't,
I
no.
mean, again, I'm familiar with boat lifts and the canopy.
And I think that my biggest objection to the structure being built on the lakeside is that in 2013, when the Andersons filed their variance to build their 3-car garage, they had a cottage that was down by the water, that they used the easement that they're referring to access the cottage. This cottage was requested to be kept for storage, in addition to a variance for a 3-car garage. And Ms. Linder actually asked the Andersons, it's in the ZBA minutes from the 2013 meeting, that if they would prefer the variance be granted for the 3-car garage and tear down the cottage, or to keep a 2-car garage, which would not create a nonconformity, and keep the cottage for storage and redo it to be similar to the design of the home. And in those minutes, Mr. Anderson stated that it would cost a lot of money to redo the cottage that was there, and he would prefer to keep the variance for the 3-car garage. So at that time, they were denied a storage structure in the front yard. And it would be consistent of the ZBA to maintain that standard, to not create the nonconformities on this property, to increase to 4 nonconformities on this property. Thank you.
As a rebuttal, number one, I never mentioned that our boat was stolen. I mentioned that it was missing. Number two, the cottage foundation was shot. It was no good. It had to come down. It probably had to come down, right? Just like 3 doors down, both foundations, when Tom started building, both foundations were shot. That's why he didn't keep one wall. But I did not ever request to keep the cottage because of the foundation situation as storage. And that's, I think, irrelevant really to this current situation. And I'd also like, there are several, if you go around the lake, and Greg, you've seen it, there are several storage units, barns. You know, Mr. Lander had a 2-car garage plus multiple sheds on his yard. Mr. Trollman, part of the ZBA, has 2 structures on his yard living on the lake, right, which also goes against the ZBA, or against the ordinance. You're allowed 1 structure, not 2. So there's several issues
A lot
around
of
it.
these were built
Find it reasonable.
prior to the ordinance being adopted in the late 90s. So-
Mr. Trollman's wasn't,
Yeah,
so. And there's been a lot, I mean, there were 2 or 3 that got put in last year. I mean, I would ask the question, Jewel, of how many people have actually asked and asked, and pulled the permit to do this, right? We're trying to do things the right way, working with the township, being supportive of everyone, and be conscious of, you know, everybody's requests. But we do feel we meet the intent.
are there,
Hi, can I make a few comments?
yes, if you
So just
state your
a-
name for us?
Teresa Lawbrick.
Okay, thank you.
So my first comment is in regards to the boat hoist in the lake. I think the variance that, or the ordinance that they're applying the variance for doesn't apply to the boat structures, and I think they're applying for an accessory structure on the lakeside. So I'm not sure of the relevance of the reference to the boat hoists in the lake blocking the view.
Mhm.
Of course, everyone on the lake has a boat hoist or some sort of watercraft in the lake, so I don't see the relevance there. But the ordinance is very clear in that you cannot have an accessory structure on the lakeside, so the request is a complete, disregard to that.
Does she live on the lake?
Excuse me, are they allowed to interrupt while I'm speaking?
Go ahead.
Thank you. Secondly, I think what Ms. Belly was talking about with the last ZBA request they made back in 2013 with the 3-car garage is quite relevant, because that was so they could have additional storage for lake equipment and accessory things that they wanted to store in there. So I find it interesting that now they're asking for additional storage, when that was part of the reason for the variance back in 2013. And I think the statements around the cottage are also relevant, because there was an option given. And Mr. Anderson has stated in the minutes, chose the 3-car garage over keeping the cottage to reduce the nonconformities.
Okay.
And then the last point that I'd like to bring up in regard to the side yard setback and the easement. So I believe the ordinance is a side yard setback to the property line, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, so the easement that he's referring to is not on his property. And so while he might say that, the 3 yards plus the easement of 8 yards makes 11 yards, it still would only be 3 yards from the property line. So there's not actually an increased setback there. The easement is not on his property, so the setback would still be outside of the building envelope.
I think you mean feet, not yards.
Yes, sorry.
No problem.
And thanks for letting me speak uninterrupted, I appreciate it.
Any other comments or any other written correspondence? Other than,
There was two, there was a total of four.
yeah. There's a couple of support. Joseph Pereira.
Yes?
I don't know if you guys had a chance to look that over. Good. Just want to make sure you got all the info I got. How about Scott Davis? You see that, Don?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Am I missing one? Two? Missing two. There's two am I missing here?
The names.
Oh, yeah, oh, yeah.
I think I emailed it.
Yeah, and Brian. And they're not in support. And then the other one was, oh, yeah, she just read that. That was supposed to discuss that, so that was written and oral. All right, so I think we've covered anything, unless you guys got any other questions. Comments to add? We'll bring it back to the board for a motion.
I move that we deny the motion, or deny the petition.
So we have a motion to deny the variance request and a second. So we'll have a vote?
Yes. Rich Erickson,
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
Yes? Don Bonka,
Yes.
Greg Connors?
Yes. All right, so,
We understand the next steps.
okay.
Will we get an official notice so we can follow through with the next steps?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Is there contact, do you have legal contact that we should go directly to, or who should we file that
No,
with?
that would have to go through the township.
Okay, okay. Have that ready for you. Have a great day.
All right. Okay, appeal number 3. Will you read the public notice for us, Marion, on that one?
Yes. A request by Daniel Phillips for a 32-foot yard setback to build a front porch and add a second story onto his existing home at 8168 Heartland Road, Benton, Michigan 48430. Parcel ID 470422300013. Property is zoned FR Farming Residential. Reference Tyrone Township Ordinance Number 36, Section 26.04A.2.A through C and 3.A through E, non-conforming structures.
All righty. Mr. Phillips here?
Yes.
There he is, all right.
How's it going?
Good. How are you doing?
Good.
All right. This is your...
This is my wife, Lee.
Lee?
Yes.
Hi, Lee. All right. So you're looking to build a porch and add a second story?
Yes.
All right. It's a aggressive project.
Tell me about it.
You want to give us a little background info?
Yeah. When we,
What's going on?
yeah, when we purchased the house, 2016, we planned on doing an addition just to give the house, give us more space and better layout of the house. And 7, almost 8 years later, we're finally to the point to where we're ready to go ahead and tackle that project. So as far as the height goes, we're just looking to add a second story, and the front porch, just looking to add a porch on just for visual and use for the front side of the house, make it more appealing and usable. And the setbacks for the front road, for the road is, I believe, 150 feet. So we will be getting a little closer to that.
With the porch.
With the porch,
Yeah.
correct.
Nice. All right. Looks like we got some concept pictures here for us. That's nice. All right. Ranch to a 2-story colonial. All right. Guys got any questions or comments? It's pretty straightforward.
I understand where we're at.
Yeah. What about you, Rich?
I don't have any questions. It's easy one to see from the road.
Yeah.
This is different.
Yeah, it looks pretty cut and dried to me.
Are you sure a 6-foot wide porch is wide enough?
No. No, but with the plans for the front porch, with the way it is, it was easiest to do 6 foot, and we were discussing it, and it's like, okay, well, it'll be wide enough to put a chair on it and walk by it. So wide enough, no, but it'll do though. It'll do just fine, 6 foot.
Yeah, you remember my parents added a wraparound porch to their 2-story colonial years and years ago on White Lake Road. And it was 6 foot wide. Well, on the side it was a little wider. Front it was 6 foot, and it worked.
Yeah,
It worked. It was cool.
we
It was
just,
cool. It gave the house a lot neater look from the
Yeah, a
outside.
little more dimension than just the.
Yeah, yeah.
our original plan was to go all the way around, but then we figured that was gonna cost too much money.
Yeah. All right, if there's no questions from the board or comments, no, anything from the audience? All good? All right, did we receive anything in writing? I think this one is
We did not.
pretty clean. Well, then I'm just gonna bring this back to the board and ask for a motion, please.
We approve as submitted. I'll second it.
All right, we have a motion to approve. and a
That was
second.
Rich and Tim?
Yeah. I guess we'll have a vote, please.
Rich?
Yes.
Anderson? Tim Scarberry?
Yes.
Don Plonka?
Yes.
Greg Kearns?
Yes. All right, good luck.
Thank you very much.
Just remember that you should ask for more,
Yeah.
because 2 years from now, you're gonna go, dang it.
I know. I know.
Ask for more.
It's possible.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
We can grant less, we can't grant more. we want to talk about upcoming, but we can do that, I think, off record, yeah? All right, then, if there's no other comments from the audience, I'm going to move to adjourn. There we go.
Have a good day.